Hey folks, got a good one tonight. It's a different one. You know us, we like to get behind the interesting stories and dig into aspects of hockey that other people aren't really looking at. So, unless you've been living under a rock, you've probably seen him and not even known about it. Kevin Porter is our guest for this evening. Kevin comes to us as a free agent hockey player. He's based out of Toronto and releases a ton of social media stuff across Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, you name it. You can catch his videos. The interesting part of Kevin's journey through hockey is that he's 46 years old now. He's had a career as a paramedic and firefighter, and he's trying to complete the ultimate dream of obtaining a PTO with a professional team and moving on up the ladder. So, yeah, well, we wouldn't be able to have Kevin on obviously without the support and sponsorship from the greatest sponsors that ever sponsored a hockey podcast, PHG Sports of Whitby, Ontario. You guys might know PHG from their Costco Roadshow. So if you've ever been to Costco and seen some of that signed merchandise in the big booth, they've got helmets, they've got sticks, pucks, gloves, you name it. A lot of imagery and cards, you name it. They've been the longest standing supplier of signed merchandise to Costco Canada, over 10 years now. PHG Sports at www.phgsports.com. So yeah, Patty, you pumped for this one or what?
Yep. This is gonna be a real good one.
Yeah, no,
Let's
I'm
go.
real. You always say that.
I know. I love it. I love it. This is
Yeah,
a good story.
it is a great story. Oh, and where's PHG right now? Do you know?
I am actually taking on the role of Chad Newman tonight.
Ooh, big
I
shoes.
know, not easy shoes to fill, but PHG Sports are currently in Vaughan, Ontario until January 2nd. Just set
Vaughan,
up today.
Ontario. There you go, folks. So if you're in your travels, Costco, Vaughan, Ontario, uh, buy your dad something nice. You got a couple of days left till Christmas. All right,
Again,
guys.
buy us something nice.
Yeah, sure. Send us a message. We'll gladly supply our mailing address.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Merry Christmas. Titter tatter. Let's get at her. All right, folks. Welcome back to another episode. I believe it's episode 9 from season 2 of the Deke Snipe Selly podcast. Anybody who's been following our episodes over the years, we have all kinds of different guests join the show for different reasons. We try to go outside the norm a lot of times and explore areas of hockey that interest us, basically things that we don't know about. We do some average Joe's episodes where we get on just average dudes like us who are fans and we chat to those guys. We get former Stanley Cup champions on and broadcasting legends, Hockey Hall of Fame guys. We do a little bit of everything. And this one I was kind of excited about tonight actually because Kevin kind of falls somewhere in between all of that. We've got Mr. Kevin Porter joining us, and by definition, I guess you'd be an average Joe, but you're trying big things, Kevin. So I first got wind of your story, I guess it was probably maybe a year ago. I guess just a YouTube clip I stumbled onto from I think it was a City TV clip, an interview that they had done with you about your ambitions to become a pro hockey player, and I've kind of kept tabs on you in different social media platforms since, and different videos, your workout training videos, and anyone who hasn't seen your workout training videos by now, they're behind the times. So yeah. I just want to talk to you about that and basically what inspired your journey and where. Well, let's start off with a bit of backstory, actually, where you're from and your connection to the game.
Yeah, so I grew up in Kitchener, Ontario. It's about an hour. It's between London and Toronto. So two huge hockey hotbeds. In Kitchener itself, Kitchener, Waterloo, Cambridge, Guelph area. I mean, it's a massive hockey hotbed, and I grew up. Diehard Kitchener Rangers fan. Played my minor hockey in Kitchener, and it's about the millionth time I've told this story, but just played growing up as a kid, loved the game. Didn't play any higher than AA hockey. I think I was a smaller guy, and had some family tragedy when I was 16 that pulled me away from the game, and that's kind of where my minor hockey career ended there, and then went back to school to become a paramedic and firefighter. And then I had a workplace accident in 2010, and that really kind of sparked the rejuvenated my passion, I guess, for the game. And I wanted to see, what I could do. And I felt like I missed the boat, so to speak, when I was younger, with the stuff that happened with my nan and my mom. So yeah, that's basically the Coles notes of kind of what I went through and how I got back into hockey. So
Okay. So the elephant in the room anytime you take to the microphone is obviously the DOB. Your age is what triggers everyone's interest in your story. I mean, so how old are you right now?
I'm only 46.
Only 46. Attaboy.
Or it either intrigues them or they run the other way. So I've had a bit of both. It's worked in my favor. It's probably worked against me, but that isn't really something I can control at this point, as none of us can. So I just, instead of, initially when I started back on this journey, I was kind of worried that it would, negatively affect me in so many ways. And then I think as the years have gone by, I've learned to almost, use it, like market myself like, well, if I can still play and compete hard, and, if you think Brad Marchand's a pest, imagine having a 46-year-old guy tear after you in the ice and take the puck away. So, that would probably put a 20-year-old right off the rails real quick. So, if I could use that in some sort of fashion and use that to my advantage, well, it would most certainly work. I know guys, they can stand there and laugh, but you wouldn't be laughing if it's happening to you. So, that's kind of how I choose to look at it now, and purely from a confident standpoint too. Like I know what I'm capable of doing, and even at this age, I can still compete. So, yeah, and I just have fun with it now, and I mean, it is what it is, right?
So like, what's the ultimate thing that keeps you going? Like, I know you've had some hardship with your mom and your nan at age 16. You've obviously got a love for the game, confidence. I'm glad you mentioned that, because that's huge. Especially when there's, I wouldn't say the world is against you, but the odds are against you, of course. Is it a combination of those things, or like what keeps you going?
I think just like my passion for the game, and my passion for, trying to push myself as far as I can humanly go, both, physically, mentally, spiritually with the game, like, and being an all-around athlete and training. And I mean, it teaches, it's taught me a lot about myself. I've been able to help a lot of younger guys, older guys. I mean, guys that are even playing in the NHL right now, and guys have reached out to me and watched some of my videos, and it's very humbling, because I should probably be the other way around at times, where I'm looking at those guys in awe. But I'm just a guy that I just like to try new things, and I'm not a big dangle fancy player. I play hard, I play fast, I try to train and do things that would be ultra effective on the ice, and just keep it simple, right? And I just, with the whole COVID thing, the last 2 years, there's been a lot of missed opportunities, but there's been a lot of good opportunities as well. And I just try to embrace the good ones, and the things that haven't happened for me, I try to keep them at the forefront of my mind, and just stay hyper focused all the time. And something good's going to come. So
yeah, who would you compare your game? You mentioned Marchand. What NHL player would you mimic your game after? Parts of it sounds like Tucker to me, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, growing up, I mean, obviously, you cheer for Toronto, right? I'm a Toronto guy. I'm from the area, not too far away. So
good answer.
Yeah, Darcy, I used to love, watching him play and compete. And when I say compete, because like the guy is a Viking, and, the crazy eyes, and obviously Wendell Clark. Like my hockey idol growing up was Mark Messier, right? Yeah. But not being able to see as many of those games because they're West Coast, obviously, we're super saturated with Leaf games, and you get to know all the guys. And yeah, I mean, definitely Wendell Clark, Darcy Tucker, the toughness, the resilience. You can't just teach that in a skill set. You don't learn that at a hockey school. I think it's either between your ears or it isn't. And that's kind of the style I like to play. So.
The thing that stands out to me when I watch your training clips that you throw online, The thing that I always walk away from it, my initial thought after any of your clips is like man, I'm like, look at that guy dig in, like he's digging in. Like, I mean, there's a difference in doing it in doing any of these drills or any of this training and doing it, and then there's another aspect of doing it with a level of intensity that a lot of other people can't even match. And that's what I've always taken away from your clips, is just how hard you dig in on everything that you do. And I mean, it makes complete sense to me. You're at a stage where, like Patty said, I mean, obviously the odds are stacked against you just based on age, but again, you're digging in, and whether that's on the ice, off the ice, is something to be commended. And that's why we're getting you on a podcast now to chat, is because it's inspiring, man. I mean, like, you know, watching what you're doing is really is inspiring.
Well, I think, like I say, it comes down to mindset, and you know, if you've played the game, you know how tough it is. And I mean, I've had the good fortune of being to an East Coast Hockey League, you know, professional development, like a camp, like a main camp. You know, I played in Sweden semi-pro. I played some games in the Federal Hockey League prior to the shutdown. I've even talked to some teams about playing in even higher leagues, but COVID's kind of thrown a wrench into some of those plans right now. So I understand how tough the game can be, and I'm doing whatever I can to be ready. So, you know, I have a little saying, it's just no excuses, just results. Yeah, right. And like, no one cares. I mean, most mornings I go to the rink, I'm coming off my 24-hour shift at the fire hall. Whether we have a good night or not is irrelevant. What I need to do is get to the rink or the Muay Thai club or the gym or whatever I'm doing that morning, and I need to perform. And it's no different than if I step out on the ice. Like, if I were to get a PTO tomorrow, I'm probably going to get 7 minutes of ice time a period, if I'm lucky, 5 to 7 minutes. So I better make sure that I'm ready to perform for 5 or 7 minutes, okay, in a period. And if I can do that, you know, the way I just break it down, when I train, I say, okay, I'm doing all this so I can try to compete for 7 to 10 minutes a period, and then have a 20-minute intermission and compete for 7 to 10 minutes, and have a 20-minute intermission and then compete for 7 to 10 minutes, right? So I break it down in its simplest form, and it's like, if I can go like a son of a gun for an hour after working at 24, there's absolutely no excuse I can't do that in the game. And that gives me confidence, because I know I'm pushing myself to the nth degree. And yeah, it is what it is. Just keep it hard, keep it simple.
Well, walk us through your training routine, and that's what I'm curious, because you're obviously physically fit. It's insane watching your videos. I'm like, dude's 40. Like, I mean, I'm 40, right? And I'm like waking up in the morning and my hip hurts and I got a bad ankle and I'm just in a bad mood. I'm getting grumpy with old age, but I mean, you're obviously keeping yourself fit. So what does that look like on a day to day?
Well, I mean, first and foremost, you know, I'm a career professional firefighter and paramedic. So my fitness level, right, is obviously, it was always top shelf for the fire department. And you know, my life relies on it. My colleagues, my firefighter friends and colleagues, and the general public, they rely on me being physically fit. When they call me at 2 a.m. because their house is on fire and they're trapped, extreme example, they expect me to be on my A game. I don't have, like, I can't mess it up. I can't make a mistake. I can't say, oh, I'm tired, I had a crappy shift, right? So there's no excuses. So to transition from that into a sport, and my sport's hockey, and, you know, it's really, the onus is always on me to be in shape. So I've had to tweak some training as far as hockey specific things. You know, I work with my skating coach, Vanessa Crone, on tons of explosive work, edge work, stops and starts, you know, just to try to mimic the game, because I haven't been playing games for a bit because of COVID. But, you know, like I said, in the end, I don't have any excuses. I just want results every time I go out, and I feel really good. So.
Yeah. So I think about, back to hockey for a moment. I think about the opportunity that you could have, and if I'm a GM or a decision maker on a hockey team, and I'm looking at a bunch of guys that are in their 20s, all with a similar skill set, and I've got someone who's 46, who obviously has the skill set, but also brings something else to the table. I'm thinking, I want that differentiator, because a lot of other folks here that are trying out look the same. You look different. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking in a world where you always want that competitive advantage. I like, if I'm that GM or that manager, I want to give the guy that's a differentiator a tryout. Are GMs thinking that way, or are they traditionally looking for the same old speed, just the basic skill sets?
Well, I'm not sure, GM Patty Phillips, but that's very gracious of you if you gave me the opportunity. You know what? I really can't. I can't speak for what the majority of GMs would want. What I try to provide is no holes barred, no excuses. Yes, I'm 46, but this is what I can do. And if I have my gear on and the young kid has his gear on up close, you really don't know that I'm 46 and he's 20 and could be my son, right? I just look at, I'm going to show you my results on the ice, my speed. I've got a 13.56 second lap time, okay, which I'm about to break any day. You want to talk about speed? I mean, right here, right? Like, I'm fast and I'm nasty. I'm 200 pounds. I'm 5'9". I'm disciplined now in my old age where I won't take stupid penalties, but if a guy punches me in the face, I'll probably punch him back depending on the score of the game, right? If we're down one, I might take it because I can take a punch, but you have to have this type of discipline, right, to get your team to the next level. And I think I've got a few tricks up my sleeve that I could, bring to any team anywhere and have some fun doing it and, be effective that way. So.
Yeah, I'm glad Patty mentioned the whole concept of the differentiator, because in a sport that's so how is best way to put it, the teams at any level are always so parallel. Like there's just so much parity, but from one team to the next, and it's such a game of mistakes and whatnot. I've always been about that whole concept of differentiator. You go back to like baseball and the concept of Moneyball back in the days, what the A's were doing, trying to make their team different so that they had a chance to have their own competitive edge. Yeah, I'm of much the same mindset. Maybe we should be GMs, Patty. Maybe that's why we're not GMs. I'm not sure.
I've applied.
I've applied.
I think sometimes too, like I like to, I consider myself, I think what drives me so much too with my training is like, I see myself as an absolute underdog and I have zero to lose. I have nothing to lose.
Mm-hmm.
And, when you add in a little bit of intensity and a little bit of madness and, I still have a massive chip on my shoulder for what happened to me when I was a kid. I can just, snap my fingers and make that guy appear real quick. You're able to have full confidence you can get the job done and do some good things. And, if I was paired with the right players and teammates and atmosphere, sky's the limit, right? So the other thing too is like teams, going back to what you said about GMs, you look at a lot of younger guys, it's a long-term investment, but just because you draft a kid and he plays well when he's younger doesn't mean he's going to work out as a long-term investment. I've invested tens of thousands of dollars in ice time, training, not rehab, but like taking care of my body through, physio, chiro, massage, my martial arts background, training, all kinds of like the amount of training I've done is endless over the last, 5 to 10 years. So teams could look at me and say, well, we don't have a lot of invested, but don't worry. I've already invested that time, money, and effort. Show me your systems. Tell me how do you want me to play for you? Like, what can I do for you? Like, here's what I can do for you. I like to penalty kill. Like, I actually love killing penalties. I love to hit. I don't mind being hit. I'm tough. I'm 200 pounds. Well, a guy wants to hit me and go, well, he's going to get hurt too. So, I like to have fun out there, and I'm relaxed when I play, but I can turn it up. I can scale it back. I guess these are just some of the things you learn by playing the game a long time. And
we could have used you on the Leafs 2 years ago.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Yeah, I want to draw the parallels between, because one thing that Kevin has over and above any of these younger kids who are coming out of, whether it's, I don't know, junior hockey, whatever it might be, these 21, 22, 23-year-olds who are, looking to break into ECHL, AHL teams and on up the ladder, is the life experience side of things, and having had disappointment and haven't had job interviews that didn't go incredibly well, and things along those lines, where you learn to value your opportunities, because your opportunities don't come along every day. They talk about it on hockey broadcasts on TSN and CBC all the time, but all of these young guys who are playing deep in the playoffs, they you might not get another chance, i.e., Joe Thornton kind of driving that home. His chance at a Stanley Cup is getting slimmer and slimmer by the passing day, right? So I'm wondering how your life experience affects the way you view your opportunities now.
Well, I think when you've lost a lot in your life and you've had to kind of fight tooth and nail for everything you have, you obviously appreciate opportunities a lot more than somebody that hasn't had the misfortune of going through that. Pardon me. Having said that, I mean, there are a lot of people that have been through a lot of things, and I'm not on this podcast saying I'm the only guy that's been through bad things in my life. There's guys that have been through a lot worse and overcome a lot of different challenges. But I just look at my own situation, because that's all I can really relate to for myself. And, I try to draw positive from that and draw parallels to help other guys out, look at situations differently, tackle problems, whether it's being tired training, being in a rut playing or practicing, home, family life, things that go wrong, and having to snap out of those things and be ready to skate, train, and practice. And, like I've had days or nights at the fire hall or on the ambulance where I've done like a terrible call, and then I had to go and train. And I can remember one day I did a really crappy call. I was working ambulance in Caledon, and I had a really tough call where a guy was struck with an excavator. And it happened to be on the ice with Daryl Belfry from the Leafs one day, and we were doing some drills. And I said, like, I'm having a hard time just picking this up. My brain is always focused on hockey, but just for this one few moments. And I came out and I told him, and I just said, like, this is what I did at work yesterday, and I'm a little messed up this morning. I'm a little out of sorts. My skating coach, she was sick. She couldn't come out. But Daryl was nice enough to come out and show me some stuff. And it was one of the only times where I was ever really rattled, being on the ice after doing that call. And so, like, these things do happen to athletes. We're all human, but it's learning how to like navigate that, and how do I separate myself from work to, okay, I'm on the ice, I've got 50 minutes or I've got an hour, like I'm here, I take it ultra seriously, I've got a job to do and I need to perform at a certain level, so that when I leave practice, I'm confident, and we're moving forward all the time. So, I mean, that's one little thing.
Yeah,
that's one chink in my armor.
we've all got them, man, and that's what makes us human, right?
When I heard your story, Kevin, and I've been able to draw some parallels, we've used that word a couple times here, but are you familiar with the Jim Morris story, the pitcher for the Tampa Bay Rays many years ago? They made a Hollywood movie out of it. Dennis Quaid was the star, about a guy who was drafted in '82, spent crazy amount of time in the minors, just couldn't get that break, retired, went into teaching, and eventually got back into the game. And at the age, I think 35, 36 or something, pitched his first pitch with the Tampa Rays and struck out a guy on 4 pitches on his first at bat. Again, some similarities there about a guy who really never ever gave up. Even though he retired, he was still in the game. And it's just about that drive. And I think for that particular guy, Jim Morris, he was really backed by his family to keep moving and keep going, his kid especially. So anyways, just not really a question as such, but more of a comment, and again, trying to draw that parallel.
Well,
there's all kinds of great stories of these things happening, and I really don't, I'll be honest with you, I don't really look at those things for my inspiration. I just need to go to the rink and look at a certain wall, and in one of the buildings I train at, and that gives me all the inspiration I need. And I said, like, I train at the MasterCard Center, the Ford Performance Center, a lot of the time. It's such a great atmosphere to train in, and the vibe, the ice is the best in the GTA. And yeah, I just get jacked up when I go in there, and I'm ready to go, and you're inspired, and you just want to be the best you can be, and have fun doing it. Like, I have no pressure, right? I'm not trying to put food on the table with it, but I sincerely want to compete at the highest level. And like, to me, it's not about the money. Like, it's a personal thing. It's about competing at the highest level, and you get the job done. So
Good for you.
Yeah.
You're doing it for the right reasons.
One thing that we've been tiptoeing around here as well with even the last couple of comments we've made here is talking about basically support systems. And I mean, you don't get to be doing what you're doing currently without having a really great support system around you, I wouldn't imagine. Who you been leaning on personally, we'll say? Any family, friends, anybody you like to shout out?
Well, I mean, first and foremost, I mean, my wife Ashley obviously puts up with me, and my
Brave
hockey
woman.
tips. So yeah, she's been great. My skills coach and good friend Eddie Choi, he's been helping me out for the last 3 years. And like I said, I've had a lot of great hockey mentors also. Jim Thompson used to play in the NHL, a dear friend of mine. Owns the Aurora Tigers in the OJ. Jim's been a huge help. My skating coach, Vanessa Crone. So I've had a lot of good coaches. My Muay Thai coach, Gerald Ching, Todd Medina in Huntington Beach, California. Like, these people have really helped me focus on what I need to do, you know, to compete and win, and have a winning mindset, and to be able to keep pushing myself, you know, against, obviously there's odds, but I mean, if you never try, you'll never know, right? So I never wanted to be that guy that looked back when I'm, 65 years old and say, like, why didn't you go for it? Why didn't you try? Right? Because I mean, what's the worst can happen? They're going to say no, right? So, yeah.
No. So do you, I hate to use the word drop dead, but do you have a drop dead date on this here, Kevin? Like, is there a point when you say, you know what, time to pack in the dream here and kick the heels up?
No, I haven't really, because I think the more I pursue it, I mean, I get so much out of it in so many other ways as well. And, I think down the road, my goal is to be in player development, with a high level hockey club. And, it's really dear to me. And I do a lot of work kind of, behind the scenes. Like, you'll see my videos training, but I'm doing some of these drills, or all these drills, for a reason, right? I'm compiling a Rolodex of things that I like, and that I think that'll work. I watch a lot of video online, and a lot of replays and clips and GIFs on how players do things, how, players attack the net, how they defend, how they shoot, tip the puck. Like, I love tipping pucks, right? So just trying to be a little bit original and bringing a different kind of element to the game, how the game could be played at some point. Because unless they take all the lines away and everyone just rips around the ice 100 miles an hour, you're still going to have that hard-nosed, compete level, body contact, ferociousness. It happens every playoffs, right? It happens with division rivals, and it's going to happen in the playoffs. And it's a style of game, I think, that to get past that first round, that second round, you have to be able to adapt and do it real fast. Like, there's no like, oh, well, maybe we can start playing this way in game 3 or game 4. It's got to be like a blitzkrieg from game 1, right? So just that style of playing hard, playing dirty, like dirty goals win championships, hard hitting, back checking, not taking bad penalties. So like, when I train, I try to think of all these things and envision, what I could do for a team if I was ever in that position, or coaching, or in player development, or whatever, right? Because there's a lot of parallels between all those. So
yes, I'm glad you got into that, because that was actually definitely was going to be one of my follow-ups at some point, was where you thought the game could lead you after the skates are hung up. And I'm so glad that you're talking about that, because that's everything you say reminds me so much of one of my favorite guys growing up. I was a huge Gary Roberts fan. Like, I mean, huge. There was nothing about the guy I didn't like. He was just hard-nosed. He was in your face, but he was also, and still is. And Gary, at his age now, super performance-driven. I mean, he runs his own camps and stuff, and he's got some of the top-end talent in the league that goes with him for his expertise. And everything I've watched about you and everything I'm hearing, and even now, I've learned a lot already tonight. Um, it just rings home to me, Gary Roberts. So anyway, that's just again another parallel. We're gonna make that the name of this show, I'm pretty sure.
So, Kevin, what has the courting process looked like? I don't know if courting is a word only used in Newfoundland, but what does that process look like of going out and finding that professional job? Or like you sending, I don't know, DVDs out, or I don't know if you do that anymore. Do you have someone in your corner who's calling on your behalf?
No, well, I had an agent, so I'll tell you why the social media litany of videos on a daily basis. So I had an agent with Uptown Sports here in Burlington years ago, and we seem to be getting a bit of headway, and then we're running into the same roadblock of like the age factor, and also the elite prospects obviously wasn't up to speed at all, and it probably still isn't, but it is what it is, and but I just said, if it's not going to work that way, then I have to just find a different way, an original way, something else, another way I can promote myself, and like we talked at the beginning of the podcast, I say no excuses, just results. And lo and behold, from throwing out, I don't even know how many videos I got on my Instagram now, upwards almost 2,000 maybe. And I I videotape everything I do. All my training sessions are videotaped, and then I break it down and go through the good and the bad, and things I can improve on, things I like, things I don't like, and compile the footage. And I send it to teams. And when I was invited to the Rapid City Rush Camp, they're the East Coast Hockey League affiliate for the Arizona Coyotes. A gentleman that used to work or works for the St. Louis Blues saw a video, contacted the team, friends of friends of friends, and said, "Hey, check this out." So it does work. It has worked for me personally in some senses. Having said that, there were times where I was worried that it could be, viewed negatively as well. Like I never wanted to be viewed as an ego thing, or look at me. But at the same time, it's like I'm in a different, very unique kind of situation where I haven't been fortunate to be able to play for a long period of time in my older years, compile stats, have things to look back on. So you're only as good as your last practice, as far as I'm concerned, or your last game. And all my videos current, up to date. I mean, you can see when the videos were made.
Mm.
I don't do anything live, but I guess I could at some point. That might be kind of fun. And then coaches and GMs and scouts, they could take a look at what I have to offer, and what my calling card is all about, right? The things that I have to offer, and you just hope that you strike the right type of nerve with one of these folks. So that's kind of how I look at it.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Awesome. I'd like to give you the opportunity now too to shout out your different media, social media channels, because I stumbled onto you. I'm pretty sure it was a YouTube clip I seen at one point, but I know you're Kevin Porter 11, right, on Instagram.
Let me just confirm that. I've been up since 4, so things are getting a little foggy, and I don't want to misquote you. So let's have a look here. I'm not the biggest techie guy in the world, so this has been a bit of a learning curve as well. So on Instagram, it would be Kevin Porter 11.
Yep, that's what I said. Yep.
Let's have a gander here at Twitter. Kevin Porter 10. These are my hockey numbers, right? So easy to remember. 11 was Mark Messier's number, so that's why I picked 11. I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Twitter, Facebook. I think you just punch in the name on Facebook, and you can find me. But yeah, it's been an interesting journey. And like I said, I've spoken to a few teams. I spoke to a team, I spoke to a GM about a week ago, and they were unable to get visas for like non-American born players to go. They wanted to have me down, but they couldn't get a visa for me. So, it's just, what do you do, right? Like it's frustrating, but the world's in a funny place right now. And I think you just have to like sit back and you say, okay, thanks. Maybe in the fall, I'll be ready. And you just ride with it. And there's nothing else you can do. you could pack it in and say, COVID crushed my dreams, but really, like, am I going to actually like let pandemics stand in my way? Like, it ain't happening. Right. So,
Yeah.
Just keep hammering away and having fun, and I'm ready. So.
No, and that's what I love about your story is that it's not about the money, it's not about the fame, it's not all that stuff. It's all about the dream, man, and that's why why it's so inspiring for us all. So, no, I love that aspect of the story. What I'm curious about, what about when it's not hockey and when it's not work? Is there anything else Kevin Porter likes to do in his spare time to kind of center yourself? Any hobbies?
Uh, Training. I mean, I love
You're a
the
sick
travel.
man.
Yeah, well, it is what it is, right?
Yeah.
I love I love to travel, but the last 2 years that's obviously been a little bit challenging.
Have you ever been to the island?
I have not, but it's funny. I was just mentioning this to my wife. My dad's girlfriend is from there, and my dad's been now a few times, and they absolutely love it. And I think she's trying to pull him when he retires in April. I think she's trying to pull him that way.
Nice.
We're gonna go for a little visit at some point. When a lot of this crap dies down, and get out there for a little holiday.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
No, well, when you do make your trip, man, you make sure to look us up. That's one thing we're noted for is our hospitality, and you'll never find a better place in the world for that. So,
Whereabouts are you guys located there?
well, Patty lives in the city, and
I'm in
just,
Paradise, just
yeah.
outside of St. John's.
Okay.
It's funny when you say like when Newfoundlanders say in the city because we only have like what 2, 3.
Oh, this city.
Yeah, in
Yeah.
the city. I'm just outside of town. I'm just outside the city. I guess what, maybe not even quite an hour. So
Okay, cool.
small town,
Nice.
500 people. It's very quaint.
Very, very nice.
The comment I was going to make, like, I can only assume that Carl Dubas watches our podcast. So like, how do we?
You never know who's watching. So
That's true.
I always tell like young guys, I'm like, be super cognizant of what you put out there. I hope I didn't say anything dumb tonight, but always think about what you're saying. Especially like, with my jobs, I'm in the public eye a lot, right? So it's very like, you really learn how to like work that inner monologue and not say things and be professional and just like for young hockey guys and girls growing up and coming up. And if you want to play somewhere, well, you have to be cognizant of this stuff too, right? So you're representing an organization, a team, an employer. You're a role model for kids and a lot of people. So it's important.
The question is, would you come play for the Growlers, Newfoundland Growlers, ECHL? That's the way to get you to Newfoundland.
Do I get to play with Todd Skirvin?
Yes.
Todd's a good man.
Todd is the best. You want to talk about an ambassador for what it means to be a pro hockey player? Man.
So I saw Todd not too long ago at the rink, but I think he was going in for his medical and I was on the ice and he was banging on the glass and I ran down and said hi quick and he had to go do his thing with the boys next door. He was there for the Marlies camp. So
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he's a good man. Yeah, I'd absolutely that would be great.
Well, if Dean McDonald is watching, which again I assume he is, let's give the man a try.
That's actually not impossible. We've had Dean on the podcast now twice. He's a good dude. He owns 3 different AHL franchises or ECHL franchises now. So yeah, who knows? You never know.
For sure. Who do you guys cheer for there for hockey?
I believe.
Yeah,
big fans.
We talk a lot of Leafs hockey, and what you get much time to watch, Kevin? Do you get to tune into many of the NHL games nowadays, or well, obviously not now, but
I'm front and center. I PVR, watch highlights. If I can't see the game, if I'm at work, we just PVR highlights. Yeah, it gets watched and studied a little bit and dissected. And I'm pretty bad when I do go to watch a game because I don't like to talk to whoever I'm with because I have to watch it. If I'm there, I will never be like come up into the stand 2 minutes in the period. Like I got to see it right from the hop. Like I'm studying. Like I have to, even for warm up, I haven't been to a game for a while because of, just everything going on. I go to where I need to see the warm up.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, I'm same thing. Like, you know what? I hate going up in the suites when I'm at a game because I got to be social. Like I want to be down with in the seats so I can watch the game.
Yeah.
I don't want to miss nothing.
No,
So-
I'm there to watch the game.
Yeah.
I got one Leafs related question for you then, because we talk a lot of Leafs. They're not quite there yet. They're a very, very talented team. They're close. What does the team need to add now come deadline time to really get them over the hump? What are you thinking? What are you thinking would be a good addition, we'll say? And it can't be Kevin Porter.
Noah just putting it all together, and I think just realizing, and this is for any team, right? Toronto, any team that's going to compete with any team that's in that position to really make it go for it, is you've got to be able to switch gears on the fly and adapt and change your game, right?
Mhm.
Shift by shift, period to period, protecting leads, getting dirty, making sacrifices, blocking shots, taking hits, making hits, and at the right time, there might have to be a little bit more. So, like I said, the game changes dramatically when the playoffs start. And I think when I watch the playoffs, like, you see how teams start to dig in, and it's a lot harder. It's a lot heavier. There's more on the line, and all you got to do is win 16 games.
Yeah, no big deal. Just 16 games.
Well, when we went on that run in November, some tweets, I don't know who tweeted it out. Like, can you save 4 games for April? 4 wins.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not a bad idea, but I still say, because I bleed blue, I cannot talk negative against the Leafs. You take this team or the team from last year, you put them in another city. I think they would have won big things. They've got pressures on them that the typical sports franchise don't. The Yankees do, the bigger sports towns. Like, they got a makeup of a very good team. Dubas has done, I think, all that he could really. They had a need for defense. He went out and got Brody. Needed grit. Went out and got Simmons, and went out and got veterans like Spezza and Thornton and these guys. I don't know what the man can do. Like, just need to get a break.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Toronto, obviously, it's probably one, if not the most challenging place to compete as an athlete, due to everyone's hyper focus and passion for it, right? Like the saying, the passion that unites us all. Well, right? It's pretty apparent here. I mean, people are ultra passionate and want good things, and it's just, I think you just have to learn how to block it out sometime, or you have to learn how to take it to the next level. And I think that just comes with time and being in that position. And go back to what I said about how I can focus on being so intense all the time. And it's when you lose and lose and lose and lose, you're able to be hyper focused. And when you do have to perform, you can get out there and perform. So, yeah, I think there's just a bit of a secret ingredient, but it takes a bit of time to try to find that and then to make it count when it needs to count. So,
Yeah.
I guess we'll see what happens.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You're saying almost verbatim what we had Joe Bowen on the show at the beginning of the year, and he talked a lot about killer instinct and how you can't train for it. You can't go to a shelf. You can't buy it in a bottle and open it up and say, oh, here's killer instinct. And it's something that's got to be learned. It's a life lesson again. And I think once the team gets there, I think it's going to be a different ball game altogether. And they're close. They're very close. But anyway. No, Kevin, we're not going to keep you, man. Again, thanks so much offering up an hour and a perspective on the game that I thoroughly enjoyed. So, again, all the best going forward. We'll be keeping tabs on you, and we're going to get you back again once you make that next step.
All right, guys. Thank you so much, and have a Merry Christmas, you and your family.
You as well.
Be good,
Thank you,
and we'll chat soon.
Yeah. Next time you're in
Hey, guys.
Newfoundland, you look us up.
Okay. Talk soon. Take care.
Later on, bud.
Bye.
Ciao.
Man, I want him to get a tryout with Growlers.
Wow.
Like-
I'd like him to get a try with anybody.
I know, but like,
Man, what a
I
good dude. What a
that's
I mean, like I said,
great story.
I've seen so many of the stories and so many of the quick hit video clips, like the the Coles Notes version of what he's doing, and it doesn't do it justice. It really doesn't do his story justice, because there's just so much more stirring beneath the obvious. Um, that I mean, it's Hollywood movie-esque, whether he makes it or not. That level of dedication and that level of commitment and intensity is something that you don't see every day. Actually, it's something you never see, right? You just don't.
Yeah.
Um, I'll forever be a fan, no matter how that shakes out for him. And I think with his attitude, I think he'll get there. I really do.
Not to be too philosophical here, but it just shows that human beings are made up of all different types. Because I don't have an ounce of what he's got in terms of enthusiasm and vigor and keeping on pushing. Not many people have that. Most people want to get through the day without long-term goals, or I really hope something happens. You don't see it often in hockey, actually, the story, or at least you don't hear about it too often. You hear about those career minor leaguers that eventually, I think there was a guy in the NHL this year, he's 29 or 30, got his first NHL game.
Yeah.
But you don't hear about it often. You hear about it in other sports.
Certainly not into your 40s, right? But because of
No,
the average retirement age of NHL athletes being between 28 and 30 something years old, right? It's just it's such a unique story and so off the cuff. But you just think about it for a second. You mean, like, just take skill set out of it altogether. Let's not even talk about skill set. Just foot speed. We all talk about the game, and I mean, if the man's sub 14 on a lap, 14 seconds. I mean, me and you together. If I was pushing you, you know what I mean? Not even close.
like, what was McDavid? Was he the 12s?
High 12s, I think, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, like,
Well, Kendall Coyne, when she did the female lap at the All-Star game a couple of years ago, she was sub 14, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah,
And I
like
mean,
that alone should get him to try out.
yeah,
And then when you bring in the mix of, and some of the stuff he said, like, you can undermine, because yeah, he's probably got more discipline than your average 20-year-old, he's probably willing to take a smack in the face and not punch back just in the effort to draw a penalty, or those things. He's got a lot going for him. You put it this way, you take the age out of it, and you've got a player there that who would be very attractive to a lot of teams. And no difference in the business world. You go into this is where the parallel, we're definitely calling this show the parallel. This is totally a Seinfeld type of thing. But like, if you go in for a job interview, no one's allowed to ask your age anymore.
no,
You're hired based on your skill set and all those things. Like, you can probably determine how old someone is from their resume just looking at the chronological order of education and employment and all those things. But it's unfortunate that age would keep him back, because if he's below 14, then I'm
that's
assuming
not
that's
then
average in the NHL, or
that's not
above
an
average.
issue. That's Speed is not an issue, clearly.
No,
So,
no,
no, good on him for pinpointing things that matter, because age doesn't. Age does not
no.
matter. The things that matter are your foot speed, hand-eye, your
IQ.
hockey IQ, your release points, all these things that coaches talk about all the time. That's what matters, and that's what he's keying in on. He's not The age thing is just is a footnote to what he's
Yeah.
actually doing, and eventually, just like when Brendan Shanahan brought in Kyle Dubas and said, "Listen, we're going to make you one of the youngest general managers in the league of one of the most storied franchises in history," somebody took a gamble on Kyle Dubas. Now, do I envision Kevin getting a tryout with an NHL team anytime soon? Of course not, because there's a process, right? Kevin knows that. We all know there's a process. But there's somebody at some level who is going to look at that man in the same way that Brendan Shanahan looked at Kyle Dubas and said, "There's something there, and let's explore it." Because age does not matter. And what I really, like I said at the beginning of all this, when Kevin was coming on, the story is great. It's a great, interesting story. But what really interests me about Kevin is the personality and the man behind the story. And I think that my takeaway from this podcast is just how he used the word hyper focused at least 3 or 4 times. how focused he is. Because again, when I watch his videos, he just digs in. He's just so intense. And I'm so glad that we got to meet him. Man, what a unique cat. And that's what I love about our podcast. We meet people that we never run into otherwise. So if you guys enjoyed the podcast, guys, let us know. If you're a general manager and you're looking for an interesting camp, let Kevin know. But yeah, if you're looking for more of our content, guys, check out www.deaksnipesilly.ca. You'll get everything there, as well as www.facebook.com/deaksnipesilly. Also, we're on Twitter at SillyDeek, and pretty much anywhere you listen to podcasts. If you're listening, you're probably listening on Stitcher, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, all of the above. And we love you for it. Most of our viewership is not even views, it's listeners. So again, thank you for listening. Again, down the road, if you guys want to see anything, if there's anything that you'd like us to add to the podcast, anyone you'd like to see on, let us know. We're game for pretty much anything, as you can tell. So I got nothing else. Patty, you happy?
I am very happy. It's all good.
All good. All right, guys. Peace out.